Studying for Part 2 of Optometry Boards can seem overwhelming at first. Not because of the exam itself, but because you have to take it in December of your 4th year. You're already in your clinical rotations, working 5 days a week. Some of you have Part 3 to worry about as well. And honestly, you're probably just over studying for boards because of the trauma from Part 1. But no worries, KMK's new Part 2 course is incredible. And by the end of this video, you'll see that you can actually be ready to dominate Part 2 in just 1 month. Check it out. Hey guys, it's Andreas here with another video for this channel. If you're a new viewer, my goal here is to help optometry students, residents, and new doctors with optometry related questions. If you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, and off we go. A few disclaimers. Number 1, I know nothing of what will be on boards. I have no insider knowledge. This video is based on my personal experience studying for boards. This was my Part 2 score from way back in December 2018. I really hustled for that score, so hopefully I can give you guys some personal insight that I wish I had before I started to make the process easier. This video is also based on me looking through the new KMK course and then seeing how I would approach my studying if I was a 4th year student now. Disclaimer 2. Yes, I work for KMK. You may suspect that I'm biased, but I did take KMK as a student before I was hired by the company. I used KMK for over 90% of my board prep studying, aside from class notes here and there, and it was an enormous help on my progress, saving me hours and hours of time. I'm so grateful for KMK, and that's why I reached out to them as soon as they found out I passed boards. Final disclaimer, I am not saying don't study for Part 2 until a month before the exam. The earlier you start studying, the easier it's going to be. What I'm saying though is that if you've been busy with rotations, Part 3, life, and you're watching this video and it's already mid-October, don't panic. You can definitely get through studying for Part 2 if you work hard using KMK and be rock solid in just 1 month. And if you're watching this video and it's only August, keep watching because I'll get to you overachievers as well. And also stick around because near the end, I'll talk about an awesome promo code that I convinced KMK to offer for you guys. Let's break everything down. So the first step in your Part 2 studying, kind of like I said in my Part 1 video, is the foundation. This is the step that will take the most of your time. If you can get the reviewing out of the way quick, then you can make the most out of quizzing yourself before your exam. A good analogy here is right before you train for, let's say, a football game, the first step is getting fit. You're in the gym, lifting weights, doing cardio. You can't be ready for the football game if your conditioning isn't up. Then, once you're fit, it's time to practice those football drills and play scrimmage games, and then you're ready to dominate. By the same token, before you do questions, practice tests, you'll have to first condition yourself. Watch all the KMK videos, review all there is about herpes keratitis, CME, Duane's, optics, then complete the cases in the new book, get those reps in, then you can have fun with the mock exams and the crash course. So you start with the foundation, then you amplify that by testing yourself, and you will be rock solid. And if you get done early and have more free time, you can get into some optional things that may help. At this point, you're probably asking yourself, okay, the foundation is key. How long will that take? If you bought KMK Core, there are 14 hours of video content in the new Part 2 course. If you get KMK Ultra, you also have 4 hours of farm videos. The 1 month plan works regardless of whether you have Core or Ultra, but let's just say for simplicity that you have 18 hours of videos. Some of these videos you may find easy. Maybe you're really good at BV, so you might watch these at 2 times speed. Other videos might stumble you, you may be confused about a disease concept, and so you'll pause the video and think, maybe rewind for a bit, but roughly when all that balances out, you should expect it to take about 18 hours to watch all the video content. By the way, the new videos do include T-Mod in the cases themselves, so no worries about having to do anything extra. After you're done with the 18 hours of videos, going through the book should take you about 5 minutes per case. That's the speed that you have to aim for when taking Part 2. Quickly scan the case, don't read every word, get to the questions, answer them in 5 minutes, maybe refer back to the case if you need to, go back, answer the questions, so you can finish on time. We'll talk about that process a little bit later. But since you're studying these cases, you'll take 5 minutes to finish answering case 25 and then spend, let's say, an additional 10 minutes going through your answers and learning from your mistakes. Some cases you'll find to be very easy and knock out in 4 to 8 minutes and move on. Others you might stumble on and want to spend more time reviewing. But let's assume that it'll take about 18 hours to get through all 73 cases in the Part 2 book. When you add the hours of the videos, When you add the 18 hours of videos and 18 hours of the book, you get to 36 hours. You need to spend roughly 36 hours to get through step 1, the foundation. 36 hours? How do I space that out? Obviously, if you start studying in August, that can be spaced out a lot more comfortably versus if you start later. But we will go back to our claim that it is possible to get through part 2 in 1 month. So let's make November 1st our starting point. Of course, you're working full-time in clinic, you don't want to have to study every day for boards again, so we're just going to get the foundation done in 3-hour sessions on Wednesday weekends. That means 3 hours every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's 3 times a week. And if you're like, Andreas, I don't want to study on the weekend. Okay, well then let's do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It doesn't matter what 3 days, but Wednesday weekends are easy to visualize. Weekends you tend to have more time and are usually not in clinic. And Wednesday weekends means that if you start on November 1st, at least in 2023, then it would look something like this. These are all the Wednesday weekends in November. You can do 12 3-hour sessions and be done with the book and videos by November 26th, freeing up that extra week for mock exams in the crash course and other things if you somehow have more time. But Andreas, you mean to say we only have 1 week to quiz ourselves on the material? Well, not necessarily. Yes, the videos help you review the content, but when you study the book, you're not just reading paragraphs and paragraphs, you're not just passively learning. You're actually trying to complete 73 cases in the book. You're reading a case and answering questions about the case, you're practicing for part 2. And then when you go over the answers from each case in detail, you're back to reviewing to solidify your foundation. With that said, a good strategy you could implement when getting through the foundation is to do something similar to what I did. 1. Watch all the videos for one topic, for example, episclera, sclera, uvea. 2. Read each case as if you're taking the test. 3. Answer the questions. 4. Grade yourself, see what you got right or wrong. 5. Read the answer explanations in more detail. And 6. Rinse, repeat. So let's say I just started today, I'd first watch all 4 videos for lids, lashes, lacrimal orbit. That is 41 minutes of content. Now I'll open the book to case 1 and then read it as if I'm taking boards. And I might time myself. I'll answer the questions, stop the timer, see how I did. After I'm done, I can take the time to read the answer explanations in more detail to fill in the gaps. Then I can move on to case 2. Time myself, read the case, answer the questions, and so on. And so 1 hour later, I'll be done with the first 4 cases, assuming I complete and review each case in 15 minutes. So in 2 hours or less, I'm done with the entirety of lids, lashes, lacrimal orbit. This is a great strategy because as you're studying the book, you're already practicing the skills needed to skim through a case, look at the questions, and then derive the information from the case in a timely manner. When I first started, I was probably taking around 7 to 9 minutes reading the case and answering the questions, but by like case 20, I was already doing them in 4 to 6 minutes, which is more appropriate for a timed test like that. And then by the time you're taking mock exam 1, you're already acclimated and efficient in taking that kind of test. And you'll learn pretty quickly that finishing cases is a skill on its own. You'll get better at scanning data and only focusing on what may seem relevant. For example, you may have a case in KMK that talks about a patient with blurry vision who presents with a high ESO but poor positive divergences and with retinoscopy, refraction, and wet refraction not being consistent. So all that makes you think really hard for why this patient is seeing blurry. But then you look at the end of the case and the patient has obvious macular edema. And then you get asked questions that are related to that edema, which doesn't sound too bad, but if you just sat there and read every word of that case, you would have wasted your time trying to analyze all the BV data. So it's generally a good idea to just quickly skim through a case, look at the picture, if there is one, and then go to the questions, and from there, go back to the case if you need to. It's kind of like when you had to take the reading section of the OAT in undergrad, where you're supposed to only scan through that really long passage, get to the questions, and then refer back. So now you can see that even though you're in the foundation stage for the first 3 weeks, you are constantly quizzing yourself and getting good at taking boards by practicing on those 73 cases, in which each case has like 5 questions. So that means that the book of cases has over 350 questions. Like I said, you're getting those reps in. Of course, the 36 hours of the foundation is still a long time and has to be done sooner rather than later. If you have trouble motivating yourself, here's a tool that you may find helpful. I made a sheet like this back when I took part 2 of boards, but I went ahead and revised it based on the new videos and is based on the 2023-2024 edition of the part 2 KMK book. I'll link this PDF in the YouTube description below. If you're watching this in 2024 and after, the table of contents may have slightly changed, but typically they don't change that much. To the left of the PDF are the KMK topics based on the NBEO outline. To the right of those topics, you'll see white boxes. Every box is worth 1 case, and each box also has a number, which is how long each video for that case is. For example, for lids, lashes, lacrimal orbit, there are 4 boxes, which means there are 4 cases. Case 1 video is 9 minutes long, Case 2 video is 12 minutes, Case 3 video is 11 minutes, and Case 4 is 9 minutes. I wouldn't get caught up in the minutes, I just included those so you can see that most of these videos are going to be around 10 minutes long. But some, like case 64 for example, is 27 minutes long, so that will warn you, hey, maybe don't watch this video unless you have 30 minutes available. Anyways, when you finish watching video 1, pencil in that box, you did it. Then when you watch the second video, pencil in that box. When you've watched all 4 cases, wow, now you've done the videos for an entire section. And the book works similarly. You'll see that to the far right of the PDF, although these boxes are a lot simpler. We just label them whatever case number they are. That's because each case is almost the same number of pages, and some pages have pictures, some don't, so I want to look at page numbers as progress. What I would look at is when you do case 1 in the book, answer the questions, grade yourself, go over the answer options. Okay, now you can pencil in case 1. When you complete case 2 in the book, same thing, pencil it in. As we talked about earlier, in 2 hours or less, you can get through the videos for all 4 cases and cover the 4 cases in the book. And now you're done with 1 of the 16 topics. I'm sure you're watching this right now and are thinking, wow, this guy's a psycho with his crazy boxes. But the whole point of this is to show you an example of a gauge to actually visualize your progress. I found so many times I would be tired, it's 11:30 at night, I wouldn't want to continue anymore, but I just did case 34, which means if I just push a little further and do case 35, then wow, vitreous retina, that would be a huge section completed, and it just felt so rewarding to visualize the progress that I had made, which is Psychology 101. If you can see your progress, you're just more likely to keep going. I would look at the sheet, not wanting to continue, but saw that I had penciled so many boxes already, come so far, and so I would think to myself, why not keep going? Just a bit more. By the way, just a friendly reminder to comment below with any questions you may have on the video so far, and also that subscribe button. You kind of want to press it. So now you're done with the book and videos, let's move on to the second part of your study plan, which is the testing. At this point, you're at the last week before part 2, so normal Wednesday weekend here. You're spending as much time as you reasonably can. The first thing you want to do is take the first mock exam. Practice makes perfect, and it will show you if your test taking speed is on par, and it will also expose any weak spots that need to be further addressed. I would spend the whole day on one mock exam. Take the exam, take a break, then go over each question, even the ones you got right. You want to know why your answer is the right answer and why the other answers are not. That's how you're going to get the most out of each mock exam and actually learn from it, in addition to testing yourself. So I would spend one day on mock exam 1 and one day on mock exam 2. Now for the rest of the few days left, you do have a couple of options. You could do some image flashcards, which you could actually do a few every day in clinic. You could practice using KMK's image search, which will pull up many conditions that you're studying. It's actually pretty cool. But since we're looking at a 1-month plan from November 1st to boards, you're just not gonna get to every resource, and that's okay. Just because multiple things exist doesn't mean that you have to do everything or you're missing out. It's kind of like with part 1, just because KMK had 4,000 practice questions and hundreds of flashcards doesn't mean you had to get through all of them. It's okay if you don't. With that said, if I had to pick one more thing other than the book and videos to get me rock solid for part 2, and I had only started studying a month before boards, it would definitely be the crash course. So if you start on November 1st, KMK Core Ultra plus the crash course is your best bet. If you started part 2 in August, then maybe you may not need it, but when you have a short amount of time and you need to be very efficient, the crash course is the way to go. It's designed as a form of rapid fire Q&A, giving you a quick review of a large amount of content in a short time. You're watching, but you're also practicing. I 100% recommend this. In the course, Kyle will pull up some awesome pictures of conditions and then we'll ask you a question about them. Very helpful, especially when he pulls up rare photos of things like corneal dystrophies, retinal dystrophies, things like Terriens or SLK. The more conditions you're visually familiar with, the less chance you'll see a random picture of a disease-ridden eye on boards and be like, what? And the crash course is great to take right before the test because you can quickly skip to any topics that you need more quizzing on. I took the crash course in 2018. I thought it was amazing. Actually, here's a clip of me from one of my older videos a few years ago. By the way, when you get to part 2 boards, and you will, the crash course is fire. It's so good. But more on part 2 in a future video. Yep, don't take the advice from me. Take it from him. I actually recommend the crash course so much, I literally talked Kyle into offering a promo code, which you'll also find in the YouTube description below. The crash course is usually $250, but the promo code, which is only available from now until Thanksgiving, knocks it down to just $99. So if you have Core or Ultra and you add $99, you also get the crash course. If you're in a KMK signature, you already have it. By the way, if you use this promo code, I don't make any money. I just want more of you guys to have access to the crash course so you can dominate boards even if you only have a month to study for it. Okay, optional supplements. I'll mention them briefly, but these may more pertain to those of you watching when you have 2 to 3 months to study for boards. We talked about the 250 image flashcards, which you can mindlessly do during clinic hours. We also talked about the image search. You can also take a 40 question farm quiz, and there's a new booster course and advanced ocular disease course. Those are actually really helpful. I recently went through them because education as a doctor never ends, and I did learn quite a bit from watching them. The booster course in particular hits heavy topics like cornea, retina, optic nerve, which students tend to need more help with. But both the booster course and AOD course do total 18 more hours of videos, so if you only have a month to study, you probably won't get to these, and that's okay. Finally, your goal for the last few days before you take boards is to rest up. Try to get a good night's sleep 2 nights before boards. Since we know the night before boards, you may be too anxious to sleep. In my part 1 video, I did talk about my bad experience the night before boards, my Wendy's food poisoning, which led me to not sleep at all. So this time I was so worried I wouldn't sleep that I took NyQuil at 6 p.m. I was out cold by 9. I'm not recommending this in any way. I'm just saying that's what I did. And I did wake up feeling pretty good. But you do what you think is going to set you up best for relaxing sleep. If I'd redo it again, I'd probably go to the gym, take a walk outside, have a healthy home-cooked meal, and then watch The Office or something mindless like that until I got sleepy. So there you have it, guys, my updated NBEO Part 2 tips. With a new Part 2 course coming out, and considering how as a 4th year, you're just so busy with other things so you just don't have a lot of time to spend on Part 2, I figured I'd outline the best way to tackle Part 2 if you only have about 1 month for it, and that is with KMK Core or Ultra and the crash course. If there's a question you have that I didn't answer in this video, please comment that below. That way everyone sees it and can benefit from it. And remember, if you like this video, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.